All right, hi everyone, welcome to Good Soup. This game is made to be extremely replayable, so you may not be able to, see everything your first run. You are following Amber as she goes about her day, and depending on what you do, what things you click on, how you interact with the environment around you, it'll change the outcome of her day. When the game starts up, we see our protagonist, Amber, sleeping. And she'll actually remain in this state until you do something to wake her up. And we use this as a bit of downtime for the player in case they want to look around the room first, click anything, before they decide to wake Amber up. A little detail we added early on was this pointer that you see. We wanted a way for the player to actually feel like that ghost character that you're established as at the very beginning of the game, and not just some kind of disembodied god or third person that's coming in here. So that's why at the very beginning, that first cutscene, you see the ghost and they have those hands that are portrayed pretty prominently, and usually you don't see, ghosts with hands, but we wanted to make sure that people drew the connection from that ghost character to the pointer. On our first art pass, a lot of these 2D pop-ups were made in Canva just because of time restriction and everything like that. So we took a lot of time to go through and create those by hand, whether that's in Procreate or whatever other drawing software that people use, so that everything that we put into this game on Steam is going to be our own. That's also why we decided to use a handwritten font for all of or at least most of the text that's shown. We like to encourage players to explore everything that we put in this game, all of the pop-ups, anything that you can click on, we want people to be curious about and kind of see how that impacts Amber or the environment around her. And so in order to do that, we really went with a story-heavy approach where we had to think a lot about how to make Amber a compelling character, and in doing so, how do we make her relatable? And through a lot of these world-building pieces, we're looking at who Amber is. So right now, this billboard kind of has some things that she does outside of cooking. We didn't want her to just be, Amber, the chef, for the entire game. So it includes some to-do lists, some Polaroids, and also a picture of her and her grandmother, who comes up a couple of times throughout all of these 2D art pieces that we put together. And then if you go to view the book, this is where all of our endings are stored. We had a really cool idea that it would be like a little journal that she keeps, and the front and back are also decorated with stickers and things that she would like. There are a total of 11 endings, and each one has its own little hint that will hopefully push you in the right direction if you're a little stuck. It was really interesting to see how people would interact with Amber. I think the more people interacted with certain pop-ups and things that were around, or paid attention to what was written in the journal or what was written in the emails, they ended up really wanting to make Amber have a good day because perhaps she's not doing so well right now. And people who ended up maybe not interacting with those elements were more okay with pulling out a chair from under her or setting the room on fire. But we really liked that element of the more you interacted with the environment, or the more that you tried to uncover who Amber is in her story, you would get a more nuanced look about how she's doing and what's going on in her life. Another detail that we added for later on, because the game can get very repetitive, the stopwatch, if you click it, Amber will move a little quicker. A lot of people got very used to where Amber was walking, or you could kind of predict where she was going to go. If you play it enough times, or you want to get all 11 endings, you're going to know what's coming up next. So being able to speed her up when she's in a certain room, and then also have the option to have her back to normal is really helpful. Another quality of life aspect that we put in is all of your endings will be saved now until you reset them. At first, before we went through with this second pass, if you closed out of the game and you had gotten all the endings, or you were only missing 1 or 2, they would just get rid of everything because we didn't have that save function integrated. So now you can close it and then open it up again without having to worry about that. Now we're going to cut back to the kitchen, and this is where we're going to show you the solution to the puzzle that's in here with the fans and the recipes, because this actually leads to our true ending. We really wanted something that's going to tie together the story that we're creating, because environmental storytelling was very heavy within this game, and we wanted some kind of payoff to that. So a lot of the pop-ups that are shown have to do with Amber going to culinary school, maybe not having a good time with it, missing her, her grandmother, and then you can kind of piece together that perhaps her grandmother was the reason why she got into cooking in the first place, and how she really fell in love with it. And we decided that our true ending was it wasn't going to be her, winning a competition or doing super well in school. It was going to be her eventually reconnecting with her love of cooking that she's lost while she was in this academic space. So at the very end, she ends up being able to make her grandma's recipe for good soup, and she sits down and eats that. And we wanted to create some kind of video or animatic for that true ending, just so that it shows that it's a little bit more special than the rest of them, because this true ending is something that players do have to work for. It's often the last ending that people get, and it has to do with this puzzle in the kitchen. You can blow the grandma's good soup recipe over to Amber, and she will make that instead of looking at that big pretentious culinary book, and get good soup, which is what this ending is right here. I was in charge of creating this last ending where it's revealed that your character is Amber's grandma, and her spirit is kind of watching over her, because that was something that I felt we were missing. Is why is the player here? You can just be kind of a fun little ghost if you want to be, but I think it tied into Amber's story and her kind of reconnecting with her family and her cooking. And I made this ending. I sent it to everyone, and everyone watched it and everyone loved it, so it automatically went in. And I think it ties together who you are as a player, who Amber is, and it's our truest ending. Let's go ahead and take a look at just some of the credits. The entire team that I worked with on this was incredible. I did all of the 2D assets, any 2D pop-ups that come up, those were me. I also put my handwriting into a font, so that's what this font is right now. And then we had a great little assembly line going when we were first putting in all of the 3D assets, where I would make a low poly version of a sink or a microwave or a cabinet, anything that we needed. I would make it available to everyone, and Natasha would be there to throw it into the scene, and then all of our devs would go in and make things interactable and give feedback. I'm very happy that I'm continuing to work with them, and that we are, slowly but surely getting this ready to put onto Steam, hopefully within the new year, or early in the new year is when we are hoping to get it available to everyone. That was good soup. A couple of the 11 endings. There are still so many that you can go and look for. yourself if you feel so inclined. But yeah, that's kind of what a typical playthrough will look like.